folks. Well, welcome to episode 15 of Let's Talk Bowling. I'm your host, Geauxtime. This is Coach Geek over here. And before we get everything started, we'd like to let you know we are also on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. Give us a like, subscribe, and click that notification button until you can get notified when we have new shows coming up. And today we're going to be talking about a really good topic today, a really, really good topic. We're going to be talking about the bowling mindset. And in that, what do we mean mindset? Well, we mean how do you go in to tackle the day, whatever it is that you're bowling at? What are you doing in your mind? All that stuff. That's what we're going to be covering today. Geek, and it's something that I kind of came up with watching another live. I'm not going to disclose whose live I was watching, but it kind of drew attention to where you see most lives, and if somebody's lost, trying to give info and trying to help out, it's hard to do it virtually because you're not there. The camera to only show you so much, even though, just like your eyes, visuals don't lie. But the more interesting part is the person receiving the information. How are they receiving it? Some people get offended. Some people attack whoever's in there. Me, I have done both, but I attack more the people who are trying to criticize you for what you're doing and not trying to really help if what they see. And I think that's kind of a low blow to try to hit somebody when they're down and not really doing well and trying to make fun. So people like that, I don't have that problem now, but I kind of kick them out because that's not a cool thing to do, especially when somebody is struggling, and I've seen it a lot, but just the bowler themselves is very interesting because some actually take the knowledge, and if they do right, they're like, oh yeah, great. And some, if they take the knowledge and they do bad, it's like, I ain't listening to y'all ever again. I should have done it with my first mic. But then there's situations where you're seeing what's going on as the bowler versus the person watching on the actual camera, and you are right in what your adjustment is and they are wrong. So it brought up that whole thing of what is your mindset when you are bowling in competition? I'll let you.
Yeah, I didn't add that to what we were going to talk about, but the mindset of having somebody who's talking to you with that visual, I totally agree with you. Sometimes what we see on the lanes isn't what somebody behind us sees, whether that be the camera, whether that be a spectator, even somebody like my wife who hasn't been bowling a long time but has watched me bowl a lot. She'll see something that's not right, and if you're not a receptive type person to some of those things, it can definitely take you down a rabbit hole, and that's a bad place to go. So
yeah, I mean, I've done it a few times where if I'm getting advice, you have to make it make sense to me. You can't say something totally random. Like I've had somebody literally, this was before TikTok, this is before all the social media stuff and you can record stuff, was watching me bowl, and they literally, I think I was standing on like 25. They wanted me to stand on 40 and hit 10. And I'm like,
that's impossible.
I can't physically do that. What are you talking about? Because he knew where his arrows was. And I'm like, eyes like, explain again. And he explained it again the same exact way. Scoot left, but then shoot at 10. And I'm like, I can't physically do that.
Yeah.
Now, since I've grown since then, my next question follow-up will be, do you mean 10 at the arrows or 10 down lane?
I was going to ask that exact thing because I think they probably had an idea of what they were thinking, but that delivery, each of us kind of sees things a little bit different. I think when we were talking with Michael Price about cliffs on the lane, people see cliffs a different way, and what I see as a cliff and what you see as a cliff might be different. And then just how you deliver that information of what you're trying to portray sometimes comes across maybe not exactly what you understand at the first, but not necessarily wrong either.
Yeah, and it happened to me last night because our shot was slightly changed, not a lot, but to the point where I could notice that my reaction is not the same when I shot a few weeks ago, and it's been different since then. And it's like, okay, I can get the ball to the pocket, but I can't carry. But then when I get the ball further right or try to shape it, the ball just hangs on the 3 to 4 board. It just sits. And I'm gonna be honest, other than sport, which even on sport patterns, you kind of have that, it kind of cliffs off towards the edge of the lane versus the inside. So you kind of have that break where you can shoot to the outside instead of an actual out of bounds. This is the first time I've bowled in the league where they actually put a out of bounds. And it took for Peyton, Peyton, who's in our TikTok friends group before we went live stream. It took for him to say, it looks like you have out of bounds. And I thought about it and it was like, click. It is something click. Last game go 225, could have went higher. And it was like, shoot. Like, why didn't I think of that? No, and I'm seeing it. That's the crazy part is your mindset is one way, but you don't want to believe your eyes. I'm seeing it, and everything is pointing to there's oil out there. As I made adjustments, threw it up the lane, the ball didn't hook. I'm like, okay, let me move left. I was all over the place trying to find it, and it was like, okay, what do I do? And he said out of bounds, so I just shifted everything left inside of it, and eureka. And it was like, dang. Now, how to recognize that sooner is the difference between us and great bowlers. The pros, they see that and it's like they automatically know I need to do this. I need to move inside because it's not coming back from there.
They see the pattern, they see the line just differently than we do, and they make those adjustments so quickly, almost like a shooter, a long range shooter, all those calculations going off in their head at the same time, and they see what the ball does. It only takes one time down the lane, and their mind automatically says here. And they're usually right, whereas you and I will have to gradually get to there. And it just definitely shows the gap between the best and your average league player.
And that's where we come in with the mindset, because in that mindset, what is stopping us from making the big jump left? I know it's part of it is lack of experience, lack of really knowing, but sometimes in our head, why don't we try something that's really out of the box? Why is our mindset only set on certain things? So, I'm gonna ask you, how do you approach it mentally, the game? Because it is mental. You can't have a strong bowling physical game without having a strong bowling mental game. So how do you approach just simple conditions, like if you have to play straighter, which is one I see a lot, is people get into a situation where they have to play straighter, but they don't know how. But you've seen that that's what you got to do. So, how do you approach different conditions to whatever you see?
I like to play straighter. You and I have talked about that quite a bit, so I'm probably the opposite, but it goes the same way. You can go either direction, straighter to more angle, or if you're a person who likes to put a lot of right to left motion or left to right motion, side to side, we'll say, if that's your comfort zone, it's hard for you to get into the mindset of, okay, well, that's not working, I have to play straighter. Sometimes it'll come down to your physical game, but most times it comes down to your thought processes where that's just not your comfort zone. From my angle, I don't want to have to move left. That's last resort. I want to stay tighter and play more up the line. When I have to get left, sometimes I will talk myself out of it, honestly, in that mental conversation inside my head. Ball down, stay straighter, ball down, stay straighter, slow down, speed up. I come up with all kinds of excuses to stay in my comfort zone. Whereas, like you said, sometimes, say, Peyton standing behind you, hey, that's not working. This looks like it might work. Letting your mental mindset be open to that sometimes will save you a lot of headache later. And I have been able to move left even when I don't want to, and salvage a game, and definitely be out of my comfort zone by a lot, but it works because they saw something I didn't.
Yeah. For me, it's about the same. I go into league thinking let's put it like this. There are certain places where you know the shot, and you just go in there, stand where you normally stand, and you throw it. No, I've never been that type of person because however I roll the ball, it gets affected by a lot of things. So I have to go in playing by what I see. My weakness, and I ain't afraid to say it, is recognizing what I'm seeing and believing it. No, because I can see it. I can see it all day, and it's like, what are you gonna do about it, stupid? It's like your brain is telling you, your eyes are showing you this is what the lanes are doing.
Yeah.
In my mind, like you said, that comfort zone is I wanna make this work. Let me make small gradual changes. Let me not think outside of what's normally going on. Let me not think, oh, there's out of bounds. Oh, let me not think, oh, the outside is dry. There's been situations where I've bowled on patterns where the outside three boards are dry, and you can get the ball to move off of that if you see the lane sheet and read it. And we'll tell other people, and they're like, "Oh no, it's wet. You can't play. You can't play from out there." A good example of that is Peyton. He went to a doubles tournament earlier this year for a sports shot for the Pepsi Challenge, the one that Stream did. I didn't do the sports shot one, but we both looked at the lane sheet and we saw the very outside board, like 1 to 2, was dry, and it tapered off around there. And I pointed it out to him, and he went out and he shot, and he said that worked. Mm-hmm. That worked. It's like, as long as the pattern was and it was flooded, playing that outside part worked, and nobody else was doing it. Everybody else was playing way left, way inside, and playing a tighter angle to the pocket, where he was getting the ball to come off the 1 and 2 and roll right into the pocket. I think he only missed the cut by like 1 spare. He had a bad game the very last game, but his mindset.
That open mindset makes a lot of difference sometimes. If you just let some of that information in sometimes, instead of trying to push it out and trying to make it your way.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, being able to take what people suggest to you and make it your own. Because, me and you, I mean, I'll play around and I tell you, you don't have a lot of rev. You actually do. You actually have a pretty decent rev rate. And if you were need to make an adjustment, I'll be more prone to listen to you because you are similar in style. It's also kind of hard to listen to somebody who throws the ball straighter than you. It's like they may see something, but we dismiss it as if you don't bowl like me, so how can you give me suggestions?
Yeah.
Bowling is bowling, ladies and gentlemen. Making adjustments is making adjustments, regardless of if you have 500 rev rate or 250. You have to make adjustments based off what the lane's seeing. If that person is that versed in just knowing what they're seeing, they're not judging what you're doing, they're judging what's being seen. And we're all probably been guilty of not listening to the person who doesn't bowl like us. And it ends up either hurting you, or sometimes it might not. Who knows? You might figure it out. So
my brother and I bowl together a lot, and we're very different styles. And sometimes I'll try to give him suggestions, and he definitely resists a little bit, just because there is such a difference. Same for me too. It's not just one way. I know that he rolls the ball a certain way, and he's got decent revs. It's just such a different delivery and such a different motion on the ball. And he'll tell me something and I'm like, well, that's not going to work for me. And then actually, once I finally make that conscious decision and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try that, all of a sudden it's there, and he was right. Sometimes he's wrong too, but if we don't try it, there's no way to know it.
Yeah. Excuse me. And it's just a mind, like I said, we like the topic. It's a mindset thing. It's knowing when to accept that from people and really take it and make it your own. I find giving advice to people with lesser revs is easier for me than giving it to somebody with higher revs, because I'm looking for the ball to hook. So where I see hook, it's easy for me to recognize where that's at. Where a person who's straight, they're not used to the ball moving, so they're not seeing, hey, this is taking off at this certain point. You're hitting a dry spot. You need to move in. But again, comfort. We're not going to do what we're not comfortable with doing, and that's what separates us from the pros. They get used to the uncomfortable move and make that move, and then whoever makes it first, that's who wins. And it may not be all that unorthodox for something for us to do. It might be something we're not used to doing. And we have a good comment from Peyton right now. He's in the chat. He said, we bounce off each other a lot, even though he has more hand and speed, but we adjust based off each other, which it is true. If you've watched my live, me and Peyton, we're constantly chatting about if something's going on. We're chatting back and forth. Like, what do we see?
Yeah.
No, I know I can play off of him, and he knows he can play off of me. No, he's made suggestions to me, and it's not because he's a two-handed player and I'm one hand and I have high rev. It's simply, it's an open mindset. It's okay. I trust you, and I know that you know my game. You're seeing something, so I'm seeing this. No, he knows that I'm good at reading ball motion. No, he's good on picking up the stuff that I'm not even really paying attention to. Just about 3 or 4 last month, or maybe the month before last, he told me he moved in like 4 boards or whatever. Maybe I should try to move in just like him. And I said, hell with it. Let me try it. Struck out. And it's like being able to have teammates. No, they're teammates for a reason. They give you advice. No, a team where nobody talks to each other, that's not a team. That's not a team. That is
No.
That's like a situation. That's not a team, because you should be able to feed off of each other and help each other up when you're down.
Yep.
High five each other when you're up. No, but also help each other when you see each other struggling. So, I do appreciate him for that comment.
Yeah, I talked about that in one of our podcasts earlier. The difference between college teams and your average league player teams. They might all be your buddies, but there's something to be said about listening to your teammates as well. And Patrick brought up a comment. He enjoys playing off of each other's lines because you can help set up that pattern and set up a line for each other. And I think that what you alluded to, like a good teammate or a good team, say you have a whole set of them that can really play off of each other and listen to each other about what they're seeing on the lanes and be open to those things. That's one of the things that sets college teams apart too, is they are constantly talking to each other. And like you said, not just high fives, not just attaboys, not just, hey, bad shot, but they're telling each other, this is what I see. This is the ball motion. This is where I saw break point at. It got a little deeper. Maybe the carry down's there. Constant talking amongst each other. And it shows as they go through a set, they get stronger and stronger when they have good communication.
Yeah. That is definitely. I do enjoy watching college bowlers bowl because it's a loud environment and they're constantly talking, but that's the part like you said, you don't hear is they're like you said, they're constantly in each other's ear. Somebody shoots a bad shot. It's not, you messed us. It's more, okay, this is what happened. This is why it happened. Come back the next time, especially when they do Baker, because you only got 2 shots. So you have to find it very quickly because you're sitting a long time before it's your turn. So that's a good reference. Is college bowling, I think they're the best at communicating. The pros too, when they do the Elias Cup, because
when they're bowling as a team,
they break it down, and even teams at nationals, the good ones, the really good ones that are trying to get that eagle, they're chatting, they're back and forward. This is what we're going to do, and they do it and they set out and they execute. It's to get a team like that is a dream. I think I have that now with the team I have. We'll with all of us not all be, but I'm talking about my team with Roger. I love my team with Roger.
Okay. Yeah.
That is it's a beautiful thing to see us be able to talk to each other and give each other hints and, hey, I see this, I'll see that, or what did you see when I threw that ball? And like, well, it checked. I don't know why it checked, but it looked good, but it checked. He was like, okay, so I'm not going crazy. No, you're not going crazy. It looked good until the last second, and we're getting into our next question is, what the topic is, what is the difference on your approach on an easier shot or versus like a house pattern versus a sports shot? I'll start off on that one. It's a lot more research for me. If it's a sport pattern, I'm not going in thinking I could just throw any ball. It is a particular set of balls that I'm going to use. It's a particular part of the lane that I need to find. And from there, it's who else is bowling with me? What are they bowling with? Are they throwing urethane? Are they throwing hybrids, solids, pearls? What is everybody doing? It is an information overload for me. And if they announce the pattern, looking at the pattern, where does it start to taper off in the ratio? Because what I look for when I see a sport pattern is when you go from like normally 15 to 15 from one side of the lane to the other, it's normally one on sports shots. It's normally one from there to there. But then as the differences in the distance come in, sometimes you'll start to see it start tapering off around 12, 10, 9. And then you'll see the ratio goes up. And there's like it's not 1-to-1, it's 1-to-2 or 1-to-2.5 or 1-to-3. That's where I'm looking for. And then I go and find it on the lane because that's where I need to get the ball to in order for it to hook. And a lot of times it works. Am I the most accurate? No. No, I'm not. I'm not Walter Ray or Norm Duke, but I get pretty close. I get pretty close. But how do you attack the difference between those two, between an easy house pattern, and not all house patterns are easy, but just what's easy and then what's tough? Like, what is your mindset going into either one?
Yeah, when I'm going on to a pattern that I think is a little bit easier, I'm a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less worried about being so precise and so focused on one part of the lane, whereas on that easy shot, you've got some wiggle room. So all I'm focusing on an easier pattern is just trying to make sure I'm following through, because that's going to get me to the zone that I'm looking for. It's going to get the ball down lane. I mean, those are just simple things that we, just kind of do naturally, but that's all I'm really thinking about on an easier pattern. Like you, once it becomes a more difficult shot, say I don't get a copy of the pattern, the first thing I'm going to do is try to stay straight, because that's my comfort zone, and see how straight I can get and where the ball is going to overreact, where it's not going to react. Is there an out of bounds like you were talking about? Is there down lane motion? Am I going to have to throw straight at all my spares because the pattern is so whippy down lane? Those are the different things that I start thinking about on a sports shot, is just trying to hone in on what kind of angles I'm going to get away with. How straight can I get? How accurate, and do I have any play right to left? Most of the time you don't. If you're on a real sport pattern, you're not going to get a lot of right to left play. It's going to be straighter. And then I just start honing in on trying to control the pocket. Just how do I find the 1-3? Whether I'm flush, whether I'm light, just find the 1-3 pocket. That's all I'm going to be looking for, because you'll either strike at that point or leave yourself makeable spares. You're not going to leave yourself some crazy stuff that then you have to, you really have to start trying to make up pins for, because you opened with a split or a washout or something. So I just start trying to lock everything into, how do I get into that 1-3 pocket, whether it's light or heavy, make small adjustments from there.
Yeah, that's great information. Peyton had made another comment. He said, if you have the graph, use it to your advantage. And that's a fact. If you have the graph, definitely learn to read it, because not everything is what you think. No, when you see those ratios, especially for me, if I see a ratio higher than 3 on a sports shot, I'm not going to be as worried as if I see 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.2. I know I have some misroom, not a lot, but some. But if you start seeing ratios where the pattern is 1-to-9, that's house shot territory. As you have now, it's just finding where to throw it, where to put it at, because anything higher than 7, I think, or is it 8, is house shot, then like 8-to-6 or 5. Or no, 8-to-4, I think.
Yeah. Challenge.
So it's looking at learning the ratios and looking at it is definitely one way. Another thing I do that I didn't mention is, I read it in the Jason Belmonte book, is throwing it down 5, throwing it down 10, throwing it down 15. And then the next couple shots, 10-5, 15-10, 15-5. Try to see where am I going to get that very consistent reaction, because sometimes you can't go by the lane graph. Sometimes you can't go by rule of 31. Every house plays different. I learned, not this past season, but last summer season for the sports shot, Johnny had put out the USBC open shot from that year, from 2023, and I averaged 200 on it. And I was like, this is easy. Like, this is pretty easy. Even though it was like 1-to-3 ratio, it was easy. And I was like, man, I think I would probably do well. And he was like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm like, huh? He was like, it hooked more there than it does here. I'm like, really? Like,
Mm.
no way. He's like, no, the lanes there hooked way more than they do here. I said, but they maintain their stuff a lot better than, like, how is it more? But then if you think about it, lane topography, if you got all that tournaments and everything going on, all the balls going down the lane, yeah, it would probably hook more.
Yeah. The temperature, whether you're in a higher humidity level, what type of oil they're using, all those things come into play on the graph. And kind of back to what you mentioned, throwing it up 5, throwing it up 10, throwing it up 15. I think my mindset and process of getting there is similar. I'm not thinking about it quite the same. I'm just looking for how straight I can get, 5 and 10, and then I'm just looking for that angle without necessarily thinking about it exactly the same way, which we all as bowlers have a little bit different way of getting to the same spot, which again goes back to our mindset. Are you open to listening to somebody else's approach to it? Getting to the same spot at the same time is the key. So
yeah, breakpoint is the breakpoint, and Mark Baker, I think is his name. He breaks it down as the Baker's box, and it's literally an area on the lane between the 5 board and the 10 board, or however it is, and it's a box. And as long as you get the ball into this box down lane, the ball will be able to turn and be able to get into the pocket at the right angle. But how you get to the box depends on how you bowl. If you bowl straight, you're looking at this. This is where you're getting it. If you're going further in, you're getting it to that point. All that to be said, you're getting it to the same spot. No, that demonstration of how he has the graph from going from literal 10 all the way to 30 is just showing the different ways you can get there. No, but he's shown that he's taken a two-handed bowler bowling straight, get to the Baker box, and it comes off the spot and strikes, to a one-handed bowler with like a 500 rev rate playing from 30, getting it to that same spot, and the ball breaks off and goes to the pocket and strikes. It's knowing those things that you can take the mindset of going in and saying, okay, I know I can find wherever I find the break point at, that's where I got to get it. And it's not just me. It's everybody that's bowling with you, especially on sport, has to get it to that spot. Very rare you get a situation where you can miss 3 boards inside and the ball holds and hits the pocket. That's a rare. It don't happen very often on sport. Then if you go back to the house pattern, there are house patterns out there that can be very hard. Depending on who's bowling with you. If somebody decides to chuck urethane up 10 and 5, or they're spraying urethane all over the lane and killing the lane, the pattern, it's like, hey, now it's about to play very weird. Everybody's about to have some issues.
Yeah. Or straight with plastic.
Yeah, straight with plastic.
Yeah. Especially in leagues, so many bowlers out there that throw that, they're newer to bowling and they're just throwing that plastic ball straight up the middle. Does a lot of weird things to the pattern when you get a bunch of them doing the same thing like that. So.
Most definitely. Like, I wish I could find the perfect layout. And for me, the perfect layout is the layout that will allow me to stay right. Like you, I know my rev rate is slightly higher than yours. I like staying right, and I like having a high rev rate too, but I like being able to play right. So any chance I get, I'm going to try to stay as far right as I can, because going left is definitely, it's in my wheelhouse. My favorite area to play is between the 3rd and 4th arrow. It's been a while since I've been able to do it because the situations I've had down here, but it's like, if I can do that, I'm good. But I much rather stay straight and play a hold and let the ball turn in. For me, it's more satisfying. I don't care about the left to right movement. I care more about just getting to the pocket and blowing the bang on pin straight back. To me, the perfect strike, all 10 pins go straight back in the ditch, nothing flying around, going sideways. They all go in the ditch and sit. That's the perfect strike. So
yeah, I was talking about that just last night. Actually, I think it was Sunday with my brother. Sometimes you get the chance to see the ball go through the pins, and then sometimes you're just throwing it good enough that the pins, like you said, you don't get to see it go 1, 3, 5, 9 and see that motion or see what it's do, and the pins just drop out the back of the lane and the ball just falls into them.
Yeah, that to me is a beautiful sight. Because you knock the hell out them pins. You really hit them, but you hit them right. Because I get a lot of flack. I don't get a lot of flack, but I get a lot of people who say, well, "Dang, you throw the ball hard." And I'm like, I really don't. No, Roger throws the ball harder than me by at least on average 3 to 4 miles an hour. No, I'm averaging. If I'm fast, I'm right around 17, 18 if I'm standing further back. He on average is like 18, 19. I dropped to 14 to get to that speed, but my rev rate just won't allow me to do it. It will not allow me to get the ball to go that fast, because if I'm playing straight, most of the time, I'm probably hitting the 2-pin. Because it's not going to hook and hit the hip. It's hooking across the hip, hitting the 2-pin. That's how much hand I have on the ball. So you translate that into motion. You go left. It has to slow down to make the hook. I don't get all that speed, but I still get a decent hit, and it seems like I'm throwing it hard. And I tell everybody that I'm not throwing it hard. Trust me, if I throw it hard, my arms probably come up. And
it's angle of entry and how much energy the ball stored.
Yeah, it's like, and then something's going to be off. Because I'm not gonna probably strike. It's probably going to go way down the lane, and then I'm going to come up behind the hip and leave a washout. That's just how I do. And then it comes back to the mindset and then taking insight from other people. Is they'll say, "Oh, you was on top of that ball," or "It was a bad shot." I hate it when people do that, because ask first what happened, because you don't know what a bad shot is. I know when I am on top of the ball. Trust me, I know. I've had to tell a ton of people that, and I've had to demonstrate. If I'm on top of the ball, this is how the ball rolls. It looks completely different from when I normally throw the ball. And they're like, "Oh, well, it looked like you was on top." Well, you can't really see if you're on the camera. You have to be here. You're guessing. Then you're at least 15 feet away, so you really can't get a clear shot of what we're doing. No.
Right.
But the better coaches ask questions, because I never assume what is going on. I ask the question first to see if you're going to say what it is, and then that'll confirm what I'm thinking, or that's going to be like, okay, well, let me leave you alone because it was a bad shot. I can't see nothing off a bad shot.
Yeah. And that's part of that mindset too. I do that with my juniors all the time, the junior club that I coach. And some of them get so frustrated with me because the first thing I ask them is, what did you see when they throw a bad shot? And I could tell, probably because I've watched them both for a bit now, and I can tell they threw a bad shot. I want to know what's going on inside their head. Like, did they feel like that was a bad shot? So I'll ask them, what did you see and how did you feel about that shot? The first answer I get all the time is, I don't know. So back to our mindset. What's going on inside there? You've got to be seeing something. So I'll start going through the process with them of what to look for. And then they can start to understand what a good shot for them looks like, what a bad shot for them looks like. It's so much easier for a coach or even just a spectator watching you to understand, like you said, if they understand what a good shot and a bad shot looks like for them, then when you ask them, what did you think about that shot, they can tell you, and then you can have a better idea as to what you saw as well. Maybe you did see something and you can let them know. Maybe they said, well, it wasn't a good shot anyway. Go forward from there. So back to that mindset. There are things going on in your mind. Try to remember them if somebody's trying to give you a hand.
Yeah. No, and then with bowlers that's been in the game as long as you and I, it's like there's so much in our head, it's easy to forget the smallest and simple thing. And Peyton just said it. He said, worst part is the small things to throw something off that ruins the whole flow. A lot of times it is. It's something so small that you're just not thinking about, or something small that you're doing, which leads us into the next thing is, league versus tournament play. How is your mindset with league versus the mindset with tournament? I'm pretty sure we don't have as many tournaments as you have around your area down here. We have a good bit, but it is definitely for me, it's different. I go into a league and it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't try to shoot good. I just try to do my best, because doing great is like, okay, I'm gonna do great regardless. I'm gonna fight until the end, even if I'm in pain, even if I'm hurting, if I don't tweak my knee, my elbow, my arm, I'm gonna keep trying. A couple of weeks ago when I shot that 837, I wasn't really trying. I was just throwing the ball, and it was just going into the pocket. So the whole time, I kept it as simple as I could. I didn't overthink anything. I just said, just throw the ball here, watch the ball, watch what it does, make your adjustments if you have to move. No, the second game is when I had to start making some moves, and it was like, okay. By the last, I threw out the back five. Once I threw out the back five, I had the front 11 the next game. It was just really just that simple. It was like, okay, just keep repeating what you're doing. Don't get overexcited. Don't get over crazy and talking, but just keep doing what you're doing over and over. Get into a rhythm, a flow. That was my mindset the whole time. It was just not overdoing it. Look at what I'm doing. Take a deep breath. Go shoot the shot. And I find it that a lot of times when I've shot my honor scores, it's come when I wasn't really trying. I wasn't really trying to do it. It just came. My first 800, I didn't even know I was going to shoot 800. It just happened. I shot back-to-back 270s, but I just kept doing it. I just kept throwing the shot. And it's trying to find that happy medium now for league that I'm just going to go in there and do my best. Where tournament, I'm definitely thinking, okay, you're in a tournament for a reason. You're there to probably win some money. So it's like, okay, because most people, unless you're just a tournament bowler, most people don't bowl tournaments just for fun, unless this is something that they do as a gathering, family gathering, or go to see your friends. Most of us do tournaments for the purpose of winning money. So your mindset there's definitely, in my opinion, more pressure on yourself to perform, especially when you're bowling with great bowlers. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I was bowling with DJ Smooth and J4, there was a hell of a lot of pressure on me. It wasn't just the fact that I know that my equipment wasn't set up the right way that I wanted it. I knew I was bowling with two good bowlers, and I wanted to keep that. So that pressure definitely was like, it was there. I can't say it was gone and I wasn't nervous. I definitely was. I'm like, dude, these dudes are good. And then the bowlers we was bowling against, they were just as good, if not some of them better. And it was like, dang, I really got to show up. I really got to be there. That tournament mindset is definitely different for me from league. League is kind of, I'm nonchalant. If I have to try at league, then there's a point I'm trying to prove. But tournaments, there's definitely a pressure. But I think you have a better insight when it comes to league versus tournaments, because you bowl a lot of tournaments.
I've been, especially lately, I've been bowling a lot of them. I'm with you on league. Like, you know me as much as I tell everybody about it. Man, in league, you can't get me to shut up. Like, I'm there to socialize. There's a zone I'm going to try to throw. I'm going to try to bowl well. I will get frustrated when I'm not bowling well. I've been in a slump here the last couple of weeks, and it does get frustrating. But when it really comes to league, the house shot should be easy enough that you're going to bowl okay, even if you're struggling. I'm there to socialize in league. Like, I've had a couple of 800s like you. Didn't know it was about to happen. It just happened. And at the end of the day, I looked up and there it was. But it's because I was back here in the seat socializing and talking to everybody 10 lanes down and 10 lanes this way. And like, just my mouth is running constantly because I like that aspect of bowling a lot, being social. All that said, when I get into tournaments, I'm a little quieter and a little bit more reserved. I'm still, like, I don't know. I've really learned to compartmentalize the pressure aspect of it. And I was working with a young friend of mine, Roman Archuleta, about the tournament mindset and how to keep yourself in check, whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad. And I think it comes down to really thinking about every single ball mattering. I only think about the one ball that I'm throwing right then. I do the best I can with that ball, and I'm watching the motion and I'm watching it go through the pins, and I'm trying to adjust and make sure that I'm making the right moves. But if I don't strike, it's just about the next ball. And if I do strike, I get to sit down, relax, and it's still just about the next ball. I take all of the negative things, everything that goes wrong. If I leave a split, if I'm not making the right adjustment. I was talking to you a lot during the senior masters, this last big tournament that I was in, and I was able to talk about it, but I'm talking about it just so that I can put it in the back of my mind back here and think about later. I'm not going to dwell on that bad shot right then because I have another ball to roll. I don't get the opportunity to dwell on it and let it affect the next ball. Too many people, especially Roman at the time, he would throw a shot that he felt like should strike, and maybe it did, maybe it didn't. And when it didn't, it would just demoralize him and he would miss the spare because he let himself get out of that every ball matters mindset. And yeah, I missed the cut for senior masters by 30 pins, and I had a whole bunch of stuff in that department back here of things I did wrong. And that's the moment that I let myself start beating yourself up or just going over all of the things that you wish you would have done after the tournament's over, after this block is over. I just never let myself get too high or too low when I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah. And we as bowlers, especially top or higher level bowlers, you have to compartmentalize it. And bowling is like life. Every frame is a day. You can't let the past day affect the next day and the future day, because if you do, you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, and you're never going to get out of it. One thing I can't pride myself on is whether I'm bowling good or bad, I'm going to try. I'm going to continue to try to find it. I'm going to continue to try to find something to make it look good, because I know that I'm a good bowler. I know that I can shoot 300, 800, and all that stuff. That's neither here or there. I like performing for my team. I don't like letting, if anything I'm down about letting my team down. That's what beats me up the most. Whether I'm bowling great or not, if it's just a team and we're 150 pins up and we're winning, if I'm doing bad, I don't really care. It's like we're winning. They don't need me to show up. It's when they need me to show up and I don't. That's where I feel bad. And that mindset, some people have it, some people don't. I've seen exactly what you're talking about with Roman being able to one shot completely crush somebody. And then it happens again and again and again. And it's like by the fourth time, they're done. They are so done. I used to bowl with somebody like that on Tuesdays a few years ago. And if it didn't strike, like you just mad.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on like 4 or 5 in a row, but then it happens again and again. And then it's like some people, when they get like that, they just shut down and don't want to hear anything that you have to say. And it's like, try to tell them, bro, your ball is getting into the pocket, but it's not driving. He didn't want to hear anything that I said. And I was like, man, look, it's going to happen again. You have the line, but you got to get it to drive. You got to get something in your hand either to make it go through the pins right or slow it down enough for it to make the turn a little harder. He didn't want to do that to like the 10th frame. Could have shot 300. Could have shot 300 or 270 something if he would have listened. But no, people get in that mindset. They shut down when they don't see what they want. And not everything is what you expect it to be. That's another thing I think a lot of bowlers have a weakness on is, especially ones that always expect to strike all the time, is when they don't strike. That is like that's like the kryptonite. That's like getting stung by a bee. It's like,
and young kids, man. The young kids these days.
Yes. Especially the kids that are good.
Yeah.
They
think every ball should strike. Yeah.
It's like, bro, it's information. It's all it is.
Yeah. And I try to tell them that. I try to teach them that. I'm like, listen, you average X and I average X. And I've been bowling a long time and I'm here to teach you. And I know, even for me, I don't strike all the time. It's not always a strike. The pros don't strike every single ball, or you'd see 900s constantly. You don't see that because they don't strike all the time. And to let that get into your psyche and into your mindset that you just have to strike every time, that's toxic. Yeah, you want to strike, You want to do the best you can and you want to get those big scores, but you have to, again, compartmentalize. Okay, I didn't strike. I'll think about that in a minute because I left pins on the lane. Let me think about this first. Take care of that business. Then you can think about the other thing about, I told Roman, you can take about 2 to 3 seconds. You throw a ball that you think was good. It gets in the pocket. It doesn't strike. You get about 2 to 3 seconds to think about it. And then your ball is coming back into the rack and you've got to think about something else and let that go. He really started to show some improvements. And if he was on, he would definitely say that compartmentalizing, and he did exactly what I did. On the way home, thought about all of the things he wished he'd have done differently, all of the things he might have been able to do differently. But you don't let it happen then. You just can't, because that rabbit hole is deep. And once you start down that rabbit hole of negativity, there is no bottom. You just keep going.
Yep, because then from there, you start thinking about other times. You start complaining, you start looking at everything to blame. It's a never-ending cycle, and getting out of that, or being able to, like you said, beat yourself up on the way home. That's the perfect time, especially when you have a team that depends on you to try to find it. Don't beat yourself up while we're trying to bowl. We can still have a chance. We can still win. No, if we strike out, we can make them work for it. That mindset of being able to sit there and take the L's. No, bowling is not all about winning and conquering. It's about being able to take the L's. No, because we've all had bad days. We've all have days where we shot way under where we know we can, and it's okay. We saw an interesting comment on Facebook. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, about people getting up and quitting. And just
a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's like, why? I mean, that's a perfect example for mindset. It's like, what is your mindset on to just up and quit because you're not doing good or you're not striking? I mean, I've seen high level pros do it too, and I'm like, come on, people look up to you because you're that good. If you're just up and quitting, then it's like, why? Like, we're gonna talk about that. What was your take on that, real quick? Like, I know you commented, I commented too, but why do you think people quit instead of pushing through? Because if it was that easy to just, I would have quit tons of times and just go home. But
I've had plenty of nights where I start the night off really bad, and there'd be a lot of reasons for me to quit. Losing the point for our team, losing my individual point. My average is suffering. There's all kinds of things that you can let creep into your mind, game one, game two, if you're struggling, that would make you want to leave. The difference, I think, is the people who just walk out, they can't process the fact that they're just struggling. It's not the end of the world and things could get better. Maybe they don't, but at the end of the day, again, you can beat yourself up on the way home, but to quit on your team mid-game or mid-series, mid-night, whatever you want to call it, that to me is just a weak mindset of, I'm more important than anything else. And that's a double-edged sword. And I know some people brought up the fact that, well, the team would be better off if they took my average because I'm struggling. But you don't know that until you finish the night. Like last night, I'll use last night as a perfect example. I went 3 games without missing the pocket. I missed twice, 2 times the whole night. In the 1-3 pocket the whole night. And I could not get the pins to fall, especially game 1. And then I let it creep into my mind that I've been struggling and the pins weren't falling. And the first thing that happened was I missed a 10 pin because I didn't focus on that next ball. But what I can do that other bowlers can't, say the bowlers that just walk out, is work through those in my mind and say, okay, I'm going to fix it this time, or I'm going to make this adjustment, or what did I see? Why didn't I strike? I think the bowlers that walk out, they don't really understand what they're doing wrong, and they feel like it's just going to continue to happen. Or you've got the worst case scenario that they're worried about dropping their average because they think their average is the end all be all. And realistically, that's just not the case. The case with bowling to me is working through those problems, even when you're struggling, especially when you're struggling, because that's when you're going to learn the most. When you're just striking all the time, yeah, you're bowling great, but you're not learning anything about what you're doing. Those struggles are what's going to mold you into a better bowler.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. I've learned more from my failures than I did my successes.
Yeah.
Like I said, I keep bringing it up because it recently happened. My 800, it was a great success. My first combo 300 800, but I'm looking to the next one. I'm looking to continuing averaging and doing that on a day-to-day basis. No, that's something that I haven't achieved yet in my bowling career. So it was like, yeah, I want to be that 230, 240 average bowler. Not because I glorify bowling and I just think I'm the best, because I haven't done it. And it's like, okay, what things can I do to get to that level to where I do strike a lot more? I strike quite often, but it is what it is. I don't strike. I have a goal to want to be better. No, as I see people, it is more of a competition thing. It's more of I have people that are better than me. No, I have people that are killing it. No, day in, day out, 750, 720, every single time. Those are the bowlers I look to, not for guidance, not for any type of worshiping or glorifying. That's goals. That's where I want to be at, because if I'm there, I'm helping my team. I'm helping the people around me, my fans who like to watch me bowl. They're loving it, but I want to be there because then after that, what's next? I want to say I'm able to keep up. My biggest motivation is somebody that's better than me. Somebody that's on my level, I'm just gonna do whatever. Somebody that's not on my level is like, hey, he's like a little puppy. You just he's you're cute. But please, like, leave me alone. But it's the big dog. It's the one that's like above me. It's like, yeah, okay, I want to get there. That's my mindset. When I do go bowl league or even with tournaments, especially during tournaments, I know that the conditions are sometimes harder. Is can I outdo the best? And I've done it a few times, but getting to that point is I want to do it more often. I want to be that person who's they see me coming. Oh shoot, we better watch out. It's like an ego thing. It's like I don't play big on egos, but it's like it'd be nice for people to say that. So that's goals. I want to compete with the best because it makes them want to bowl better. And we all grow from competition, which is the whole purpose of stream in the first place. We have a question too. Ms. Bronx Slayer is in the building. She said, "What are your thoughts on giving the other team high fives? Do you feel it's necessary?" Yes and no.
I'll start. I have a friend that I bowl with on Fridays who said something about that exact thing. And bowling is unique in my opinion, in the fact that from my perspective, I want to see everybody succeed. I do want to win. I really, I'm in some high dollar money leagues. Like I've told you a couple of them, and they are no joke. And I want to win, but I don't want to win at the expense of somebody else, bowling poorly. I don't care if I'm against them. I don't care if I'm head to head with them. They're going to get the same me that I would give to the next guy every single time. Am I going to high five every single time? No, because that's like seeing the volleyball team that comes together after every single play and they get together. But when they're struggling, I will give them advice, even if they're head to head with me. I've done it and I've proved that is a real thing. I want your best. If you and I are head to head, Dwight, and I see you struggle, I'm not just going to beat up on you. I'm going to let you know, maybe I see something. And if you come back and beat me, hey, so be it. But I got your best. That's my opinion on it. Other people see it more as a competition thing where they don't want to give the high five. They don't want to see the other bowler do well. To me, you give your best, they give their best. We'll see who wins. It's always going to be that way, in my opinion.
For me, it's I don't care about the high fives. If a person picked up a dang on 4, 6, 7, 10 split, why am I not going to give him a 5? That's not an easy split to pick up. The person picks up the 4, 6, 7, 10. If a person strikes and it was a beautiful strike, hey, high 5. Like, I don't mind giving the other team 5s. Now, what I don't do is I don't give them advice if we're bowling against each other. I don't give them advice. Now, I don't do it if we're close. Now, if we're like way off and the person, like you said, is a friend, and then it's like, okay, let me help you out, because it's something to watch people struggle. It's another thing when you see it really beating them up. Like, I've seen some bowlers get real demoralized and real down because they're not doing well and their team is suffering. And it's like, I'll shoot them a hint here and there, like, hey, look, or I'll say something out loud, talking to one of my teammates, knowing that they're there, knowing that they're listening. Now, people think that you can't see them listening when teams are talking about strategy. I see you listening, but I'm doing it for that reason, because it kind of eases that whole thing of you shouldn't be helping the other team. You shouldn't be talking to him. Well, if he's eavesdropping, he's listening. If he benefits from it, okay. No, but I only do it in that case. But as far as the high 5s thing, it's sportsmanship. It's sportsmanship. It shows love. It shows that, hey, at the end of the day, we're not enemies. I saw this, and it's a very interesting question, because I saw this one clip on Facebook. It's a fighter in the UFC, and he always goes that he hugs the fighter he's going against, and he hugs their whole entire team before they fight. On the opposing side, he goes to them every single match, hugs the fighter he's fighting, hugs his team, does his little thing, goes off and gets ready for the fight. I think that is an example that we should all take, because we're not enemies. No, I have nothing against you bowling. So why shouldn't I give you a high 5? We should praise each other. We should dab each other. I know it's taboo. We're not supposed to, but in my opinion, I don't care, because it's just a high 5. What's wrong with saying good job? That's like someone shooting 300 and nobody coming and giving you a congratulations. Like, that's just like that. Nobody saying good job.
Yeah, I just went through that. I just went through that a couple of weeks ago, and there was nothing worse than I gave him congratulations. He absolutely beat the crap out of our team that night. But you know what? He accomplished something, and call it easier now than it used to be. But you don't see him every single day. You don't see it all the time. I would be damned if I'm not going to go give him congratulations on shooting that game. Just not going to happen.
It doesn't happen every day. I mean, in certain places, if the house is easy, every other day. But 800s and stuff like that, it doesn't happen all the time. I mean, the most recent I've seen it happen frequently was in my league, where the week before I shot mines, my PSO, he shot at 300 and 800. Then I shoot at 300 and 800. Then Roger shoots at 300. So the shot gets changed. That's warranted. No, it's not supposed to be super easy. But even then, it's like, still, congratulate the person. They did something that, I don't know how many people in USBC, but I'm pretty sure you can go down a very long list of seeing how many people have not shot 300, have not shot 800, and are still chasing them. It's even more special when it's the older people, like the 60, 70-year-olds that
get that first one.
That first one is like, they've been doing this for so long and they're just now getting it, and it's like, I can't do nothing but be happy for them, regardless if you're bowling against me or not. It's like, you've did something and you've been bowling longer than me. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you for doing it. Bronx Slayer says combining two things. She said her team bowled against the team. The lady quit game 2 because my teammate didn't. Oh, that's just unsportsmanship. I mean, that's one problem on the sports. It's not being sportsmanship. It's like, come on now. Give people a 5.
Yeah.
Dab them all.
You just don't know, too. Yeah. Last night, we had a guy shoot his first 800. Him and I aren't friends. We don't even know each other. And I made it a point to go 3-4 lanes down, congratulate him. And this was after everybody else had. And I'm not the best bowler in the house, but I am probably the loudest bowler in the house, and a lot of people know me. It was refreshing to know that when I went down to congratulate him directly, he took the time to just talk to me and was like, hey, I've seen you in here a bunch. thanks for coming down and saying congratulations, it's my first one. I was like, yeah, that's, fantastic stuff. Even if it was against me, it wouldn't have mattered. You just don't know, what that will mean to somebody. I don't know anybody, like I wouldn't bowl, and I told Bronx this too. I wouldn't bowl with people who were like that. And there are parts of me already considering what I want to do for next season because I am on a team that's somewhat like that.
Yeah. No. And it sucks when you have to consider those things, where it's our mindset in bowling sets a lot of things, and I don't want to be on a team with a negative mindset. It doesn't help you bowl better, especially if you're the one that is the best bowler on the team. When you're seeing them struggle and they're not trying, it eats away at you. Like I've been on a team like that a few times, and it's like, dude, like I'm drained. I'm drained because I have to try so hard, and I'm trying, and then you guys just laying down. Like if that's the case, why do you go bowl a recreation league? Don't bowl in a league where there's big money or a lot more money. If we're trying to go for the top 5, top 3, bring it. But at the same time, keep that open mind when we're trying to help each other. But yeah, definitely keeping an open mind and being a sportsman and dapping people off, especially when they deserve it and earned it. Like even if it's just one good shot, they struggled the whole time and he struck once. Hey, yeah, you finally got it. Yeah, let's go. One in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be my mindset. Yeah, it'll be my mindset for as long as I'm in the sport. It's going to be even, we talked a lot about different shots, different things, different conditions, league versus tournament. I will openly tell you that my mindset is always that bowling is fun. It's supposed to be fun. Even if you're bowling for money, that's still fun. It's exciting. If you're bowling league with a bunch of people that you're friends with, that's fun. And too many people that let themselves get in that mindset of, that it's anything other than you're supposed to be there having a good time and walk out over it. It says something about the person too. And I'm not ever going to be that person. And I don't think I would put myself in a position to bowl with those people. Have fun out there. Always think about it as the fact that we are doing this voluntarily. Nobody's twisting your arm. We want to be on the lanes, so enjoy it.
Yeah. For me, the mindset has definitely got to be positivity, but one that where your team and everybody is enjoying your company. No, like I said, I don't enjoy always just shooting good. I actually do enjoy puzzles. I actually do enjoy the struggles of shooting bad because it gives me something to conquer. It gives me something to say, okay, I shot bad this week. The next week is not going to be like that. I'm going to figure this out. I look for the challenge. I want the challenge. I'm not there in tournaments all the time because I don't have the time to do it. But even then, I like the challenge. I want to be able to, I want the smoke, as they say. I want to be able to say, I conquered this. I beat the shot where everybody else struggled. And it's more gratifying to me to say, I did the best on when it was worse and everybody else struggled. And then they look at you, and when they look at you like, well, dang, you really figured that out. What did you do? And then you could tell them, well, this is all I did. And it's like something simple. I get gratification off of that. I get feed off of that because it's like, dang, you thought of something that I didn't think of doing. You must be a great bowler. Like, no, I just happen to think outside the box. Sometimes. And then sometimes I get caught in the trap. Yeah, sometimes I get caught in the trap and I don't think of everything. And then it takes somebody to say, hey, like Peyton yesterday, last game, you're running into out of bounds. Oh, shoot, let me try this. Yeah. And it starts working. Like, I live for that conquering the puzzle. No, do I want to do good all the time? Yes, I do. I want to do good, but it really doesn't bother me if I do bad because I know the next week I'm going to try again and I'm probably going to more likely do better. No, this week was better than last week. No, last week I had a lot of pain in my arm and it was like, I still bowled. No, this week was a lot better because I went better by like 10 pins. Better is better. I'm getting better at whatever it is out there. So once I conquer it, then what? Then
Yeah.
what? It's like, okay, what's next? No, which leads me into our final thing that we was talking about is our team. No, Stream
Yeah.
had our first official team going to nationals next year in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is 2.5 hours away from me. It was consist of me, Coach Geek here, Jashane, also known as J4, aka also known as J Slime on TikTok, Patrick Roper or Patrick, I think 008, and
Yeah.
his wife. So
Yep.
we will be the first official Stream team under the Stream banner going to nationals. We're also going to be planning on trying to put some other ones together, try to go down and try to everybody meet up at the same time. But we have our first team, which consists of us. So we did want to let y'all know. How do you feel about that? Are you amped? Are you ready? Like
Man,
what was the thought?
I will say I've bowled a lot of nationals, and you and I had an entire deal on nationals earlier. This will be my 22nd or 23rd, something like that.
Mhm.
There was excitement in my first ones when I was just first getting into it. There was excitement when teams changed. It's gotten a little stale for me. It's more of a trip than it is about the bowling. I was actually telling Jashane in some direct messages, I've been bowling with my cousin, and that's been a good thing. Him and I have cashed in doubles a couple of times now. But this year coming up, I missed last year. That may play into it too. I'm jazzed. I am amped to go because in my mind, good, bad, or ugly, we are starting something for the future, not just for today or even just this first tournament that we're going to bowl together. To me, this is just the first step of getting more people. And I talked a lot about how much I love people through this podcast, even. The more people from Stream that we can bring together under the same banner and the same setting, the happier I'm going to be and the more jazzed and amped up I'm going to be about it. I am very much looking forward to this year, good, bad, or ugly on the bowling side. I'm going to have a good time, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. This will be my second, but it's going to be my second with people that I know, even though we've never physically met. We
Mm-hmm.
all know each other. We know our ups and downs, ins and outs. We've been talking for the past almost year now. No, and it's a friendship that is definitely built up over time. So to be able to bring that into a physical setting and actually see it, I can't say good, bad, or ugly. I think it's just going to be all good, regardless if we do good or bad. I can't honestly think that we were going to do too bad because the mindset is the same. It's the same amongst all of us. We have an open mind. We're going to hear each other out. We're going to listen. We're going to build each other up and help each other conquer whatever it is out there. Between the five of us, I don't see it being a bad experience at all. We all
No.
have something to offer when it comes to that type of situation. And to be able to put it together and, like you said, to where we get 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 50 teams going to nationals. When we get to that point, it's going to be an awesome thing to see the Stream logo across all the lanes. And like we all came with the same purpose, but we all started from a virtual setting, and now we're
Yeah.
competing for an eagle or something because we got some badasses that came across the nation to come together and don't even know each other physically, just know each other from competing online and saying, hey, we're all going to go bowl this and we're going to do well. So I'm looking forward to it. I am truly amped and ready to go. Like the last experience is great, but this one is going to be, I mean, then it's closer to home too. So it's like, it's down the street in Baton Rouge. Man, it's like, it's going to be some good times on that March when we come see all each other and do it. So
I'm amped. I'm amped and ready.
So, I mean, with that being said, though, you also have two people you can send your bowling balls to. You ain't staying or not that far. No, you guys have two people you can send your stuff to.
I was actually talking to Jashane and told him while we're down there, he needs to bring some stuff. He's going to get some measurements. I'm going to get a ball drilled. So.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'll be awesome. I mean, I want to go to Jashane too because I know he does some good work. No, Craig is awesome too. So I think between the two of them, I think we're going to have some really, really good. It's going to be awesome. I don't know how else to explain it until it actually happens and it comes to fruition. No, right now it's set. So the next step is just to build towards it. No, we're all on this journey together. And with that being said, we're coming up on the end of our time. If we have any questions in the chats on either sides, go ahead and get them out there, put them in the chat so we can go ahead and answer them. So, but it's been a great conversation. No, mindset is definitely everything. I hope somebody leaves from this and says, hey, I'm going to have an open mindset, or I'm going to change my mindset.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of my comfort. I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone. Like sometimes getting out of your comfort zone teaches you things, and too many of us get in that mindset that I'm gonna stay here. And I think it's good for everybody. I keep trying to teach a lot of people to go ahead and do those things and be uncomfortable occasionally because you don't know until you try it.
Yeah, and I think what my metaphor is going to be is if I was in the safari and a lion was chasing me, would I sit there? Or would I run to a different area? So the lion is chasing me, that's that bad shot. Am I going to stay there and let it get me, or am I going to move somewhere else to get away from it? So
Sarah just chimed in. One of my longtime listeners just chimed in. She says, I say I'm going to quit during every frame, but I really don't. I just say it. That's fair. That's okay because we talked about that. We all struggle sometimes and we all say, I'm going to quit this game. But that's just that love-hate relationship we have with this sport.
Oh, yeah. Jashane said how to drill a bowling ball.
He said what?
How to drill a bowling ball.
How to, huh? Well, we'll find that out.
He's an old PSO. You asking us, please let me know. And I did give me a loan of about $5,000 so I could buy my own machine.
Yeah.
We would do that.
I have one and I got rid of it.
You should have kept it. You definitely should have kept it. There was another one in here. We were just talking about you saying the headed. Yeah, I remember your friend. She was talking about, she said she wants to quit. No, that's nothing as long as you keep pushing. I've literally said for 10 frames in a row, I hate this game. I hate this house. And shot 300. And people are looking at me like, I thought you hate this house. I do. I really do. But you know what? It was a rhythm. And I noticed the rhythm, so I just kept feeding into it. And every shot kept peering into the pocket and knocking them down. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep on saying I hate this place until I strike out. And I sure enough did. So whatever works for you.
Whether it's a love-hate relationship with this sport, man. You could love it, you could hate it, but you just kind of got to love it. And that's why we keep coming back.
Yeah, it's definitely more love than hate. It's just the hate is the bad part. But if there are any more questions or anything else for me and Coach Geek, we are about to sign off. This is your Coach Geek over here. Geauxtime.
I'll go with you. 1 second. Yeah, I'll go with you. Sorry. All right, I gotta get.
You gotta get. Well, Coach Geek will be signing off. I'm gonna be too. We're gonna catch y'all next time. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Facebook. Check us out and on TikTok. Geauxtime is gone. Let's talk bowling. You have a nice day.